Okay. Welcome, Pittsburgh. Welcome, listeners, to River Talk with your guest hosts, your boy, the I to the A to the N to the I-N, S-E-C-T, Ian Insect, and of course,
Liz AAA. I don't have anything fantastic as that, sadly.
Well,
just Liz AAA. That's all I get.
Also, nothing is as old and predictable as that. But speaking of old and predictable, how about this weather? Oh, awful weather.
What is it, Pittsburgh around here?
Terrible weather.
Oh, my God.
I was talking to Crawford.
Yeah?
I was talking to Crawford the other day.
Name drop.
And he's like, I love this hot weather. Jeez. You know, if I had a gavel for every degree over moderate temperatures, I would have several gavels.
You would have so many
today
gavels.
For the temperature that it is.
What would you do with those gavels?
Inside jokes aside, we are here this week in the studio with your guest hosts, Ian and Liz.
You can see my face.
What's that?
That's fine. You don't need to see my face. It's unimportant.
Wait, we can't.
My face has been redacted. There we go. Thanks.
Someone's done a pterodactyl joke, right? Okay, good. All right. Well, we are here. We are live. We are guest hosting for Mr. Brian Crawford, who has enlisted in the military, the Polynesian military.
He likes their sauce. But do you not like Polynesian sauce?
You see, it is this kind of racially insensitive material that's going to keep you as co-host forever. But look, you keep doing you. Who cares if it's career suicide or not?
As long as it's suicide.
And as long as it's dead, you might as well take it on down to Hahn Funeral Home here at 123 Grant Avenue, the only family-owned funeral home in Millvale, taking care of your needs, your funereal cremation, and green burial services since the turn of the century.
Damn.
So, let's get to the program. We have two fantastic guests with two fantastic events coming up later this month, August 2018. Our first guest is a co-founder, co-organizer of the Bike, Laugh, Heal comedy showcase taking place this Wednesday in the Strip District. We're going to let her tell you all about it. Let's welcome, straight from a shift at Vincent's Pizza Park,
she smells amazing.
the multi-talented Lisa Zollner.
Hi.
Hi, Lisa. How's it going?
It's going.
It's a busy day, huh?
Can you tell?
Yeah. So this event is very cool. So I guess let's start first by telling our listeners a little bit more about the event. It is a comedy show this Wednesday, featuring some fantastic local comics and also a couple touring comics,
including yourself.
I'm not. There I am. Okay. Well, this is the first time hearing about it. But tell us a little bit about how the show got started, how you got involved with it, and other pertinent information that our listeners are dying to hear. Hold it. Go on.
Should I give her a moment?
No, you're good.
Okay. I actually live in California. I'm currently here in Pittsburgh, just running Vincent's Pizza. My grandfather was Vincent of Vincent's Pizza, and when he passed away, my mom inherited the restaurant, and I came out to try to find another manager. So my normal life is in California.
It's a hell of a commute.
And what you were saying about the weather, I had to bite my tongue on that one.
So many gavels.
I get so many gavels, right? Exactly. So my girlfriend from California, we were in the same triathlon club. Her name is Mara, and she moved to New York to become a comedian and has a very successful podcast called Happy Never After in New York. And while in California, I was in a 6-year abusive relationship, and then afterward really wanted to kind of do something to make a difference in other women's lives after I healed from the whole thing, and posted something to Facebook, and she caught wind of it, asked me to be a guest on her podcast. And after my episode, I guess it brought about a lot of conversation surrounding domestic abuse and a lot of people came out of the woodwork because it's one of those topics that isn't often discussed, but should be. I think it's something that one of the things people are doing now to make a difference in that. It's becoming more prevalent. Like the NFL has a big push against it, and a lot of people are doing a lot to put an end to it. So she decided, after all the conversation that she saw that it had stirred up, and all these people coming out of the woodwork saying they'd been through similar experiences, it kind of laid down a platform for more people to come out and say, oh my gosh, me too, oh my gosh, me too. Because I was definitely that girl you never in a million years would think would be in an abusive relationship. I was the girl looking at all the girls in abusive relationships going, that's so lame, why don't we just leave the guy?
Right, when you're on the outside, it's a lot harder to see like how can you stay? It's so obvious.
Yeah, it
just
seems
leave.
right. It absolutely. I would look at them almost like they were lesser. Because I remember being on the other side, like, what is wrong with that girl that she just stays there? It doesn't make sense. So then after having gone through it, you realize how crazy of a mental screw over it is. And after that brought about a lot of conversation. And Mara herself is actually, her podcast is centered around divorce and marriage and, making funnies out of that. And she was in an abusive relationship as well. And so she decided to make a bigger thing out of this, which brought about the Bike Laugh Heal Tour. And her goal is she's biking from New York to San Francisco. The goal is to do 60 comedy shows in 60 cities and raise money for domestic abuse or violence awareness. And in each city that she does a comedy show, the proceeds from that show are going to benefit a local nonprofit around the cause in that city.
That's awesome.
And so locally, here in Pittsburgh on Wednesday, that's going to be benefiting the Women's Shelter
Center and Shelter of Greater
Shelter.
Pittsburgh, yes.
Excellent. And so, and Vincent's also donating some
Right.
proceeds there.
Well, so my mom, knowing that, I kind of am out here flipping pizza, I have an MBA with an emphasis in marketing. In my real life, I'd be wearing high heels, not covered in pizza sauce and flour. And
It's a good look. You
you're
wear
like,
it well.
Yeah, thanks. My grandfather definitely was always covered, in flour.
Family tradition.
Yes, exactly. It gets old. Let me tell you. I had to shake off my shoes before even walking in here. But I thought I was going to be her month. I've now been here almost 2 years. It's hard to find someone to run the family business. But my mom, knowing what I'd gone through, because when the whole thing came out, she was in shock. I did a very good job of hiding it. And so she was very supportive, and she saw that this was important to me, and I really wanted to make a difference and make waves. So she said, well, why don't we pick 2 days and we'll donate half the sales on those 2 days at the restaurant to the cause to keep it going. So that, I've kind of partnered with using the restaurant as a tool. Also, if you go there, I have signs everywhere talking about domestic violence and, what we can do. And I even put up a little board that is my own little concoction of my little idea that I thought would be helpful in some way. When I went through it, my situation was different than other people. A lot of the women going through it, they had, it was English as a second language, and they had a bunch of kids and nowhere to go, and they felt like they were in danger and they were scared. For me, it was not like that at all. I had a place to go, and I had my own place. It was like he would do these horrible things, like beat me up, and I'd beg him not to leave me, kind of thing. So you know what I mean? And so being that person that was in that higher spot, well educated and grounded in every way, it was such a mental thing. I felt like I didn't even fit in a lot of these support groups. So I just made a board at the restaurant where people could put anytime they've gone through, whether it's an abusive situation or anything traumatic, really, ideas of how they found their way out, just so that we could share that with other women going through this.
That's fantastic. And have you seen a lot of people posting on that board?
No, not too many. It's hard but it's hard to get, my servers to relay the message that I'm trying to do. I mean, there are a few, and anytime it's someone special, but I think, it was just something for me that I wanted to throw out there, see how it did, and I think it's a good idea. Maybe I translate it, and have Mara take it somewhere with her along her journey. Because, she started in New York, so we're at the very beginning end of this, and I'm sure it's going to gain a lot more traction as she travels cross country.
Yeah, that tends to be the what do you
Thing.
call that? The thing.
The thing.
The thing.
Yeah.
Such a
I mean, it's
word
a hard
escaped me. Yeah, thank
right.
you.
My friend, it was a passion project for her that she wanted to do a variety show to put money towards the same the
Cool.
women's shelter. And so at the end of it, we left time if anyone wanted to come to the stage and talk about their experiences.
Right.
And I was like, let's keep it like just, we're not sure if anyone's going to come up or if, but it turned out a lot of people were like, once they were in that room, once you were like around it and everyone's there and supportive,
Right.
they were like, I feel comfortable enough to talk
Sure.
about my experiences.
Like a safe
and share.
space, yeah.
Exactly. And it was an amazing experience.
Wow, the same thing. I mean, I've got customers even, they'll see it and they'll tell me. I mean, so many people. Once you start saying it, you realize it's actually very scary. I'm thinking, what is wrong with our society? And then I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm pushing this event to all these customers. Half of them are probably abusers themselves. Because if you think about all these people that are going through this, and I'm going, oh my God, what if I'm pushing it?
Statistically.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to be pushing it. I wonder what that person's thinking. But it might be interesting. Maybe
it'll open their eyes.
Yeah, maybe it does something.
Yeah, I mean, there's abusive behavior is crazy because those patterns are repeated, right?
Right,
And you have to shake it.
absolutely.
It takes a lot of hard work. I myself come from an abusive household, and I was never really in any kind of abusive relationship where I was abused. But I mean, as a kid,
Sure.
what was going on with me and my folks, was not kosher, and I carried that with me, and it definitely. Manifested in really unhealthy ways.
Absolutely.
Just like substance abuse and stuff like that.
Yep.
And you have to work so hard when you're breaking that cycle. And again, all the way back to what we said at first, people on the outside, they're looking at it, they're like, why don't you stop? Why can't you
Sure.
just stop this? And I think just raising awareness, whether it's with other victims, knowing that knowing that they're not alone. Whether it's with people just on the outside, knowing that this isn't going anywhere. I mean, we're in the Me Too movement, and that's all. It's fantastic, but there's still at the ground level. There's still a lot of cases. I don't have any figures. None. No, this is a thoroughly unacademic study. But also, I mean, on that end, I think it's good to let abusers know that this is here, because abusers are, in a sense, they are victims, but it's not that like excuse to let them off the hook, because it's a couple things, right? You have to realize there's an issue, and then once you realize there's an issue, you have to take action, because it's like if you realize that you are an addict and stay addicted and don't take any steps, then you're just sort of like acquiescing. And it's very complex because it's not that easy. It's not just as easy to say, okay, well, I'm in this situation, or if you realize that you are depressed or bipolar or something, and it's the very first thing is, here's some awareness. Here are the symptoms from an objective source. Because when you're inside it, you can't identify those things always.
Right.
You can't realize those things. But so, I mean, to that effect, I think that this show and the level of awareness you're making an attempt to raise, both locally, which your campaign locally has just been all pistons, right?
Yeah,
It's just firing on all cylinders.
Try.
There's the phrase. I'm really bad with words.
I like
I don't
Passion
know why
Project.
people.
That was good. When she said that.
Yeah.
That was a good one too.
Passion Project.
Pistons.
You're talking about Joanna, right?
What's that?
Joanna?
No. Ashley Hamilton.
I don't.
Ashley Hamilton, yeah, from I said Hamilton from Eden Park. Remember?
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's her passion. Her sister died due to being in a domestic.
I met people like that, and that's crazy. Yeah, the
So-
stories you hear.
You never think it. Like
don't.
something about like the brain just wants to block that really.
Yeah, her family didn't
awful
know
stuff.
until it happened,
Same.
and like her mom was there, and she was like in tears, and she came to the stage and talked to us all, and it was one of those things where it's beautiful and heartbreaking, and it was a good. The whole audience though, like everyone was on the same level, and I I'm sure you guys will end up with that same kind of like level of everyone just gets to a point where it's.
We're trying to lighten it up with the comedy, and hopefully
Yeah.
we can get a wider audience of people that aren't they're not there to hear just about that. They're there for the comedy, and that way we can reach the other people. Because I think you hit upon something really important earlier, that it's other, not necessarily just what the person can do themselves. A big thing for me was I would reach out to friends, I would reach out to people, and they would literally be like, well, why don't you leave him? So they started like identifying more and siding with my ex, because they were like, well, you must be lying. If you're not leaving him, you must be lying and making all of this up.
Yeah. That's like some crazy kind of gaslighting.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Hey, Patrick. How's it
Welcome.
going? Hey.
All right, I went to chat.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
No, feel free. Yeah.
I always think about, like, are there places to go, or is there a support network out there that's kind of like an anonymous thing for people that are in those relationships? Is there like a physical place for people to go that are, I mean, I guess there probably are at some hospitals and women's shelters and things like that, but it takes a lot to be a person and walk into one of those kind of places, let alone walk into one of those meetings admitting you need help. Like,
Well, this might be.
I'm sorry, if
Go
I could
on.
just hedge on that. You can, at any time of day or night, you can find an NA or an AA meeting. The help is out there for those. It's everywhere. And, recently I started to wonder, I mean, just what about just for people, life in general, whose day is tough and they, like, need to just go somewhere to, like, a group of people and just rap about it, Is there anything, like a 12-step program for people who don't need 12-step
There
programs?
is. I tried
Like, kind of-
Codependence Anonymous. I tried
Yeah,
Love
right.
and Sex Addicts Anonymous meetings, which are both 12-step.
right.
Those weren't quite right for me, but I think you're right. Maybe something more general.
I've gone to a place over in East Liberty called the Shambhala Center, and they do some groups like that, that are just all across the board. People that have eating disorders or whatever kind of disorders, or people that just want to be there to like meditate around some other people that are like struggling. There's a thing that when people are like struggling, they struggle together. Like it makes you stronger. It's like Voltron, right? Like,
Absolutely.
Sure.
So.
That crosses over into like suicide prevention, which is another big thing now too. I think you're absolutely
why
right.
can't I like look up the 8 o'clock meeting for that?
For just struggle, yeah,
Voltron.
like
For
yeah.
Voltron, right?
Well, what I
The Voltron group, like,
What-
Yeah.
seriously.
I think this would be an excellent time just to talk a little bit about what the Women's Center and Shelter does, what services they provide
yeah.
in the city.
And that's why I actually picked them, because of what you were saying and what you were saying. A lot of the other cities, the money is going directly to a shelter, just a shelter, which in my personal experience, I think it's obviously shelters are necessary and they're great. However, it's just a very reactive kind of thing. Like once the woman literally has nowhere else to go, they take her in. I wanted to find a place that was more about the education and branching out into other programs. The Women's Center and Shelter actually has, they provide legal assistance to like women. Let's say, like in my particular situation, the guy lied to the cops, said that I attacked him, and the cops came to the hospital after he beat me up. They arrested me. I went and spent the night in jail. My mom had to spend $5,000 bailing me out of jail, and then I went through, so it was, and I called so many different places trying to figure out, my mom obviously got me a lawyer. I didn't even really need it in the end. The DA laughed at the whole thing, but they have support group. They do have support groups. However, I kind of like what you were saying about just a more general, like maybe that center.
It takes a lot to
go to a-
humble yourself to get to
yeah,
that point
an
where
easier
it's a
reach.
specific thing that's like
Sure.
a woman's center. Oh, geez, am I
So
at
everyone
that,
knows.
am
Yeah,
I
then
at that
you-
point
yeah.
where
You're right. Then it's like, you have to say I'm an
you know,
abused
it's
woman.
just,
Then
you
it
know,
sounds,
it's
even small
general.
hurdles like that, to take some of those out of the way, like to,
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I think that's
anything
huge.
that can lessen it and maybe generalize it more and just be maybe a more
100%.
broad spectrum thing.
Well, that's what the process of destigmatization is like. People think that like when something's stigmatized, like drug use, depression, suicidal tendencies, being an abuse victim, any of that, like people think that we're in a point where we're not stigmatizing those things because, we acknowledge they exist and we acknowledge that it's not just that person's fault, but we're still at like stage one on all that,
Right.
where exactly what you said, Pat, is like, I think the mental process that happens with a lot of those modes of sort of getting trapped in a downward spiral is just sort of feeling hopeless and feeling like even taking that first step to look for help is rather
Daunting.
pointless.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
That's-
I think
yeah,
so. I think this show was awesome. I got connected with Lisa through the Trundle Manor, the Master
Name drop.
and Mrs. And they've been really good friends of the Swive, so to say, for some time. But when I was reading about your story and just your background and what drove you to work with Mara to create the show, I think it's so necessary, and the level of frequency and the level of visibility cannot be high enough. Cannot. But I think this is a great opportunity for people who just want to come have a good time, and then you slip that message in. It's and I think that's sort of what you were touching on earlier. Is not about bashing people over the head. They know why they're there. So once you get them in the door, you give them what they're there for.
Brief thing, and then we'll
Yeah.
probably we'll talk about why we're there.
Yeah.
In the very beginning, and then light it up with comedy.
For sure.
And it's not obviously abuse isn't a joke. That's not what we're saying. It's just there's
No,
life
you're
after.
right.
There's hope.
Yeah.
And you got some heavy hitters on the show.
Oh, yeah.
So you got Shannon Norman on the show, local favorite, Shannon Norman. Aaron Kleiber is on the show, the godfather of Pittsburgh comedy. Osha Dwyer, who I'm really glad you picked up to be on the show. She's
I love her.
fantastic comic coming up over the last few years. Chrissy Costa, who is hilarious. And actually, it's funny because when I first moved back, Chrissy was one of the first people I shared a stage with. So,
Oh, really?
We definitely, I know she went out and toured a bunch and did some stuff outside the city, but it'll be fun to be on a stage with her again. And then you are hosting, is that correct?
Yes, and I'm not funny. I'm not funny. No.
Well, you're doing a great job of making
really.
yourself
Yeah,
laugh.
I know.
That's
Just
it.
thinking about it. I'm
You
like,
laugh. People were like, I guess we laugh too. That
I know.
seems right. Guys, on a side note though, this is fantastic. Who did your artwork?
Oh
This is
my
great.
gosh.
It's really, it's
It
very
really is.
exciting.
I love it.
Sarah Roberts is Mara is riding cross country, and God
And
bless
headlining
her.
our show.
Yep. And Sarah is the producer of the podcast Happy Never After, and she is literally riding right behind her at a snail's pace in the support car with Mara's dog. And videoing the whole thing and doing, I'm talking to her like, seriously, I would not have the patience for that.
That's so.
It's amazing.
But she's in a car with a dog.
She's in with Mara's dog. So
I mean,
she started
yeah.
it, and then they kicked off the tour, and she sent it to me, and it had half the people in it. And then they kicked off the tour, and I knew they would be too busy. So I literally spent 2 days teaching myself Photoshop to finish it.
It looks fantastic.
It was so hard.
I keep trying to it keeps drawing my eye.
Absolutely.
And so I definitely want to give a shout out to Vincent's for being such a crucial sponsor for the local event.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So Vincent's is located at
It's 998 Ardmore Boulevard. It's on Route 30 on the border of Forest Hills and North Braddock.
and I actually grew up in Plum.
Oh, okay.
So
You went to the
we would-
Plum location.
It was it
What is
was
286. Right?
the holiday park, just on that windy road.
Yep.
So 990 was that
998.
998
Ardmore
Ardmore Boulevard,
Boulevard.
right on Route 30. You just head out through Wilkinsburg. You just
And we were just
straight
voted
shot.
the best pizza in Pittsburgh by the Incline.
Yeah, I was gonna say who doesn't know Vincent's Pizza? It's,
Just making sure. I
mean, that's-
River's
yeah.
Edge reaches far and wide. So we're on our way to wrapping up here. First, I want to thank you so much for taking the time
Thank you
in
for
between
having me.
shifts.
Yeah,
managing and making
I'll
some
be
pies.
lucky the place hasn't burned down. But it's fine.
Just a side note, the cutest. She just comes in and like she said, it's just all flour. She's like, I brought you pizza, and I was just like, oh, I met you for 3 seconds. I was like, all right, I love her.
No.
love
Well, I am greatly looking forward to the show. I think it's going to be a blast, and that is Wednesday, August 22nd. Doors open at
At 6:30, and you can get tickets either at the door. They're $20, or you can get them if you go to bikelaughheal.org. They are $15 through Eventbrite. It'll take you the link to the Pittsburgh show.
Beautiful. And is there anything else you'd like to add or remind listeners of?
No, we really want to get as many people to come out and support, the show as possible and kind of what Mar's doing. And, I think the local tie-in is awesome. It just kind of brings the community together, and a lot of work went into it. So I hope everyone invites their friends, and I really appreciate you guys.
I have no friends, but I will.
You want to be my friend?
Okay.
I'm from LA. I don't know.
Can I invite you?
Yeah. You can be
It's
my
that
guest.
simple. It is
yeah,
that
I'll bring you more
simple.
pizza. And it's a
That's
cake.
an easy way to make friends.
Yeah.
You're cheating.
That's how I met Rachel and Anton. I came here and I Googled cool things to do in Pittsburgh, and Trundle Manor came up, and I went and I went to their house. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I was like, listen, guys, I have no friends. Can I be your friends? Because you're my kind of people.
They are
Great.
darlings, and I do hope to see them out there. Guys, this is a direct message to you.
Yes.
Let's get the SSOA out there as well. And one more time, just a big thanks to Lisa Zollner.
Thank you guys
To
for
Vincent's
having
Pizza Park,
me. I
Mara
appreciate
Merrick,
it.
bikelaughheal.org. You can get your tickets for the August 22nd show, and we will see you there. And then we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with a tune from Patrick Lawton.
Stay tuned.
Hey, it's Mike Sasson. Guess what? You used to love us at 10. You're going to love us even more at 9. It's me. It's Alex. It's funniness. It's guests. It's all sorts of me yelling into microphones only 1 hour earlier. It's exactly what you need at 9 o'clock. It's like a shot of adrenaline. It's the Mike Sasson Show, now starting at 9 o'clock on Tuesday on the River's Edge, a new kind of radio.
And then I said to her, oh, we're back.
I forgot we were doing this today.
It's a show. It's live. I get it. We screwed up a little bit there. We should have been ready. But better than that Crawford guy.
Oh my God, he's
Oh my God. Anything that we could possibly do is better than him. And,
Yeah, it's awful.
I saw...
Awful. Every
What? Oh, no!
rubbish.
Oh, no.
It's like Redwood of the River's Edge.
So I want to know what the hell happens. I take 1 week off and there's pizza. I never get pizza. I do the show every week and I never get pizza.
Well, you have a
One
no
week I take
food
off.
rule.
1 week I take off and there's pizza.
Well, you have a no food rule. Also, yeah.
Vincent's Pizza right here.
I believe... Look, have a plate, have a slice.
Oh, I'm allowed to have a slice on my own show.
Have 5 slices.
I can...
It's our show today.
Take the lion's share. Ooh. She's the podcast demon, Liz Tripoli, here to my left. And across the talking counter from me, first off, the wonderful, the multi-talented Lisa Zollner. Once again, thank you for being on the show. I'm glad you're sticking around with us to enjoy the sounds. Ooh.
That's the sounds.
The sounds. Step aside, Biz Marquee. That's not a dated reference. Never mind. Anyway, we were super excited to have our next guest here, a local performer, producer, and personality. He will be hosting playing on the end of summer show, August 31st. August 31st. At the Meade Street stage right here in Millvale. He's going to play a song for us. And then we're going to have a sit and chat. So take a knee, lend an ear to Mr. Patrick Lawton.
In the cedars and the pine, darkest hour friend of mine. There is a whole world in the weeds, who knows just fulfill my need. Living like a cannonball on the rise, but bound to fall. Everything I think I see, smoke screen for conspiracy. In the cedars, in the got trouble on my mind. All just focused on the dawn, but what is really going on? What is really going on? What is really going on? Hear that lonesome whistle blow. I wanna get on board and go, go, go. Take it right on down the line. The only way to free my mind. When I see us in the pine, well, I got trouble on my mind. Well, all just focused on the dawn, but what is really going on? In the cedars, in the pine, well, I got trouble on my mind. Well, all just focused on the dawn, but what is really going on? What is really going on? What is really going on?
Yeah, all right. All right.
Patrick Lawton, everybody. What's the name of that song? That's really hard to spell.
Heavy sigh. We'll call it heavy sigh for now. Parentheses
actually,
around it.
I really like heavy sigh.
There you
to be
go.
honest.
There you go.
Brackets, heavy side.
That's
there you
great.
go. Okay.
So I would ask you about your end of summer show that is at Meade Street Stage. Fun fact today, folks. I was like, I want to know more about Meade Street Stage. That sounds awesome. That sounds cool. So I Googled that. Google was like, did you want to buy a house? I don't know what you want. Because it is apparently a great Millvale secret.
Yeah. Well, it's basically my abode. So we're pretty friendly about it, though. It's pretty easy to find if you go on the Facebook. It's out there.
A boat is in your house?
Yes.
Oh, you're having a show at your house?
Yeah, I've been doing house shows. This is
cool.
maybe my fourth one, and each one is gets a little bit. I don't want to say better because the first one was great and it was such a good time, but I'm getting a little bit better at hosting them. I've had Ian with me the past once, and he is with me again.
The past ones.
The past once. And that was a huge step in the right direction too. Just having someone sort of like running the show and kind of there to whip people into shape and shamelessly whip people into shape. He's great at it.
Whoa.
So
He brings his own whip and everything.
everything, a chair too. So
Just gonna happen at the
It
comedy
is
show.
that kind of show.
That's why it has to be at his house.
Wait, when is this?
it is August 31st. It's Friday. So what is that next?
Okay.
Yeah, last day of
Last day of summer.
Last day of
So-
summer. I mean, technically.
What day of the week is it?
It's a Friday. Yeah. So I'm having about 8 people play, lots of local Millvale musicians, some other folks that everybody knows.
Sean Atkins is on it.
Sean Atkins is on it, yes.
Kaywood.
And Jeremy Kaywood is on it.
Does he need Brian, does he need a first name anymore at this point? Okay.
It's just Kaywood. It's just Kaywood. The pizza gremlins left. All right.
How many people fit at your house?
Well, we haven't gotten to capacity yet. So, I mean, I think the last couple times we've maybe had 20 people there or so, and that's pretty
Ooh.
comfortable.
I love house shows so much. Like, I just love, So you get like that nice intimate setting, but it's real comfortable.
Here's my thing. Like,
If you want to talk about intimate and comfortable settings, let's talk Han Funeral Homes.
oh no.
Purveyors of funeral services, crematory services, green burial services, Millvale's only family-owned funeral home. Editorial correction, located at 123 North Avenue. 123 North Avenue, right here in Millvale,
Not to be confused with Meade Street Stage whatsoever.
which
Please
is
don't.
located at.
Is that a sponsor and is I just
Actually,
I'm not?
being honest, it is a great space on funeral home.
Who gave him a mic?
Brian Crawford here, yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
And, like,
None of what I'm saying is meant ironically
No,
at
no,
all.
no. But seriously, we had a funeral for a mannequin
Oh,
that
yeah, I was
caught
gonna
on
say.
fire
Oh, that was
at the
great.
Millvale Studios, and they had live music there,
Can that
which turned out fantastic.
Yeah,
the
they're
sound
actually-
quality was
They
incredible
put the
there.
fun in funeral, to be fair.
could it be a venue for like Millvale Music Festival
So
next
we
year?
have talked
possibly?
about it. Unfortunately, that there are some power issues that need to be updated before we could make it a music.
But they
venue.
are very supportive
They are.
They are.
of
They're a big
the
sponsor
local
for-
scene.
and they're a sponsor of the Millvale Music Festival as well as
From
well
the
as the
first
show.
year.
To answer your question, yes, they are a sponsor of the program. Yeah.
They are the first, the best, the only Han Funeral
But
Home.
they're the only show sponsor we've had so far. We've
Yeah.
had other sponsors that we've talked about that are network wide.
You know, my sister's a substitute teacher, and whenever she subs for the teacher, you know what doesn't happen? The teacher doesn't come in and start teaching lessons. I mean, I don't know. That's just a thing. I just throwing that out. This some information for you. No reason why. So, anyways,
Not to be confused with the Meade Street Stage, comfortable, intimate setting as well. And what's the? So where were you headed with that?
yeah. Sorry, we were.
Well, that's okay. Tangents, trains of thoughts,
Cosines.
whatnot. No, I really dig the house show. It's nice for me to. I mean, especially at my house for me because that's where I write these songs. Like they're like I'm playing in the same place that I've written them. So a lot of the time, when you go out and you're playing in all these different environments, it's hard to just, for me personally, it's hard for me to just jump in somewhere and be comfortable. And if I'm not comfortable, it's hard for me to, vibe on the song kind of thing, which is a skill in itself. It's an amazing thing. There's a lot of people that are going out and playing around, singer-songwriters that can just jump into these scenes and the power can go out and they can still belt out these songs like the day of Millvale Music Festival from what I heard, at some of the cafes. So those things are amazing. But, to have that vibe of being at the house, I really dig it. And, it's a very no to low pressure situation. And I really like all the people that I have, they write amazing songs. That's why they're there first and foremost, is because their songs are all great. So it's cool to actually be able to, listen to their songs, hear a little story about them, whatever, talk to them about them afterwards, Everybody listens too, so that's part of everybody really quiets down.
And
it's
who
just-
else do you have on the show coming up?
Don't you have the cue card for that? I thought you do.
I have all the names,
Let's
but I
see.
did bring
no,
up.
not this time.
Oh, I thought she was. I'm sorry.
Sean Atkins, Jeremy Kaywood, Kerry Collins, myself, Kevin Finn,
Who's the band that you have on?
Low Light Signal.
Yeah.
Yes, that is
Only one I don't know.
that is going to be a surprise for everyone. Janie Kooning is on it now, and I also have Brian Jump is going to be on it now too.
Oh,
So
I haven't seen
Brian
Brian in a while.
yeah, he's a
Did
really old
things.
friend of mine. We go way back. We went to high school together, and so I'm excited to have him.
Well, you just know everybody, don't you?
He's very
I sure
well
do.
connected. What? Hi. Hello, I'm back.
What are you whispering over there?
Nothing. I was saying I like to whisper.
So he's really well connected. We could maybe use his connections for our own personal gain.
I would never do that.
Yeah, but I neither. I never would do that. But we
That's literally what you do. Okay. Hey.
Yeah. So,
So
You
these
have a
shows
show.
you do. Hey, it's really cool that you have a lot of musicians on there. Do you ever have any other acts? I'm actually just asking.
I have
that
not
for
had specific
curiosity.
comedy
No, I don't
yet
mean specifically.
or
like
anything
spoken
else.
word or anything else.
I haven't.
Just curious.
No, and I would like to. One of the things that I want to do, I think this is probably going to be it for the season as far as the house shows go. I would like to maybe do one more sort of smaller thing with longer sets. maybe around Halloween time, and I'm going to try and have it be like an all-women's sort of thing, because I have a lot of really great women friends that are singer-songwriters that are always so busy, and I'm going to try and get them all on the same day and nail them down in the same spot, like so they're all. So that's something that's going to be
Yeah,
coming.
but
So
cool.
he's gonna take a bunch of women and nail them onto the spot.
I'm looking at
It's
getting
very
a hot tub,
Halloween-y.
so it could be like a pretty
That would
fun
definitely
spot.
add to the
Ian would
environment.
never leave, you know. Ian would always be there in his Speedo, but we're okay.
I don't hear
He is
anyone
anyway.
We're okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean, we still have a reason this time.
There's a reason this is cut off at the waist down here.
I mean, I live within walking distance, so you might want
Right.
to watch what you say.
Right. Why
Right.
is that Brian Crawford in my jacuzzi at 4 a.m? It is. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Pat, is there anything else you want to plug or hip us to?
There probably is, but I just want to thank you for having me on. You know,
course,
it's
man.
great to be part of this and part of Millvale. Thanks to Brian and everybody, really. Thanks, Liz. It was nice
Can
to
I
meet you.
say one more thing?
Oh my god.
About the space. So
say, yeah.
you were mentioning how great the space was, and one of the things that I really like about it is you mentioned that people are really listening when they're there, which is true. But it has a space where you can escape
It
to
does.
talk to your
It
friends,
does.
and that's one thing I always loved about the Funhouse here, where you have a listening space, and you have a bar area where you can talk a little bit, but not
Right.
quite so loud, and then you can come out to the courtyard and you can yell and do whatever. And your space has that same opportunity
Yeah,
where you
for
can
sure.
you can be inside and really pay attention to what people are doing, but then you can also go outside and sit around the campfire and
Right.
enjoy the company of your friends, which
Yeah.
I think is also important.
Yeah.
The view is one of my favorite in Millvale too. You
It's
can
very
really
pretty.
look out at the valley, and you can kind of see a little piece of Polish Hill and the old churches and all that stuff, and you can really hear the church, like the church bells when they go off, are like right in your face. It's great. It's a good spot. So yeah,
Fantastic.
thanks.
Well, hopefully we can hear right in our face another tune from you in just a moment.
Sure,
You got one locked and loaded?
sure.
All right.
Fantastic.
We're going to be back right after this message from Han Funeral Home. Han Funeral Home, located on 123 North Avenue, a friend of the station, friend of the show, friend of the festival, the Millvale Music Festival. They have worked very closely with other small businesses to create a welcoming environment for all those wishing to express themselves personally. They are very well embedded in the community, very well respected. And if you are looking for somewhere, if you are considering your future plans, somewhere to be treated with dignity, with respect, and with consideration, is Han Funeral Home at 123 North Avenue, right here in Millvale. The only family-owned funeral home in Millvale.
They put the ohm in funeral home.
See, that was, I thought mine was really nice and like very direct and earnest, and you have to come right here with
I don't know. I
these.
kind of like that.
Thank you. See?
I like that they put the fun in funeral.
I'm gonna keep going.
You were pretty
I don't.
good.
I
Gotta give it to you.
got puns for days.
You're pretty quick.
They
You
put
need
the
to write mine.
in Han.
I was gonna think. No, they're cool cats though. They're cool cats.
Yeah, no, they're very much part of the River's Edge family. We are always happy, whether it's funny or not, to give a shout out to Han Funeral Home, to give a shout out to Lisa's owner, Vincent's Pizza Park, BikeLaughHill.org. The end of summer show. Everyone, show on up. Let's see if we can get up to capacity on the 31st. So mark off your calendars. August
your
22nd.
Speedos.
Bring
No. That's,
not
Not
yet.
yet.
Not
Not
yet.
Not yet.
I mean, well, you know what? You know
Just
what?
be
Bring 'em.
ugly.
Bring them. Yeah.
It's not a speedo party.
Bring them. Wear them.
It's a speedo party.
It is
Pat
now.
just told us.
It is now. So with that in mind, we're gonna ride out on one more song from Mr. Patrick Lawton. Once again, thanks to the River's Edge, thanks to Mr. Brian Crawford for letting us guest host. It's your boy, the I to the A to the N to the I, and SECTE, an insect, and to my left.
Liz Tripoli. Nothing that interesting. Don't forget to catch him August 22nd.
Everywhere, just everywhere. Don't worry about
catch
it.
him. Just catch him. He's like a Pokemon.
And
Oh,
you got
and,
anything coming up?
I got XX XX at Hambones September 22nd. So just remember all the 22nds. You got something to do. So September 22nd at Hambones. It's a all-female lineup. I got Cassie Bruno, Vanessa St. Clair, Danny Cassander, Christina McNeese, and Suzanne Lawrence.
Christina McNeese is killer.
She is killer.
And Brian.
If we're wrapping up, I did want to say one thing.
Yeah.
I'm
The
surprised.
reason why why you guys were guest hosting is today is a very special day. It is the birthday of my mother, who's just a wonderful person and the original sponsor of the River's Edge, who paid for a lot of our startup equipment to help us get up and running.
Yay,
I was supposed to be there
Mom.
tonight, but we had some technical issues to work through, and that's why we had guest hosts who did a great job. Thank you guys. But I just wanted to say happy birthday to Carolyn Crawford.
Happy birthday to you.
Cut it! Whoa! Actually,
Don't want to pay royalties.
It's free. It's free now. You
Oh,
can
is
use
it?
Yeah, you can now use it.
Did
They-
the
they-
Hills die? It was Patty and Mildred Hill owned
Well,
that.
they just determined that it is now available for anyone to use
Very
it. It's open
softly,
domain,
very
so-
gently.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you.
It's kind of sexy.
Happy
know that.
birthday to you. Happy
Birthday, Mama Crawford.
Happy birthday and many monkeys
And gavels.
in a zoo.
Never.
Happy birthday, Brian's mom. We hope you enjoy this gift from us to you. One more song by Patrick Lawton.
I was gonna sing a really sad one, but I'm not sure how I can do that. So speaking of backyards, yeah, this was one that I hung out with my friend Sadie, and Jeremy at Kaywood one evening, and woke up, and this is the song that popped out. So here it is.
Wish that I'd known her when she was way older. Oh, wish that again I'd be young. I sure can tell if I'm going to hell in a handbag or holding a gun. Yippee-ki-oh, yippee-ki-yay. Am I falling in love or fading away? The lights of a town, they shine all around. Pale wind compared to your song. Been so long since a song made me cry. Same song could set me to run. Yippee-ki-oh, yippee-ki, yeah. Am I falling in love or fading away? Am I falling in love or fading away? Prolong the time till we say goodbye. We all know that all days must end. Took out my heart, you tore it apart, but you put it together again. Yippee-ki-oh, yippee-ki, yeah. Am I falling in love or fading away? Am I falling in love or fading away? Am I falling in love or fading away?
Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Liz. Thank you to our marvelous sound engineer, Zach Fell, back there at the boards. Thank you, Zach. We will be back next week, 7 p.m. on the River's Edge with River Talk with your regularly scheduled host, Mr. Brian, legal name redacted, Crawford. We'll see you then. Thanks so much.
Thank you.